Hey everybody, and welcome to Don't Copy That Floppy, your weekly video game news podcast, broadcasting live Fridays 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on twitch.tv/DCTF podcast. I'm your host, Lex, and I'm joined by my co-host,
Booge.
It is December 1st. Happy early Christmas, everyone.
It can never start early enough.
Nope. And luckily...
CVS.
Luckily, I never leave the house, so I don't have to worry about hearing Christmas music in stores. Now,
Lucky.
Now it is. It's been an okay week for video game news.
No, it hasn't. It's been boring because we're after Black Friday, so everything's fucking. We're not gonna get any good news until probably the Video Game Awards.
That's true. Everyone's done killing themselves over video game stuff. People were literally able to get Xbox 360s for $0 from GameStop. And we have a slew of stories, most of them once again dealing with Star Wars Battlefront 2. We were off last week, and there's got to be at least 3 Star Wars Battlefront 2 stories every week. So we have so many. There's just so many. It's like the whole first half of the show. But after that, we're going to talk about Amazing Souls games servers getting shut down, followed by the growth of the video game industry and how much it is growing. That later on, products at merchandising having to do with Nintendo products. After that, we're going to talk a little bit about PUBG, and then a little bit about Fortnite, the thing that ripped off PUBG. And finally, we're going to talk about games that came out recently and that are about to come out, and all that good stuff.
Let's rip this Band-Aid off. Let's get it over with.
Okay.
So I can stop thinking about Star Wars for a week.
Let's go to the beautiful island state of Hawaii, everyone.
Aloha, oi.
This was news from last week about Star Wars Battlefront 2 and its loot boxes. This is a story from Kotaku from November 21st, and it's about how Hawaiian legislators have decided they're going to fight back against predatory loot box behavior. And it's a number of people discussing it in front of a podium. There's a video. But it's mostly Representative Chris Lee, who's a Democrat from Hawaii. And he talks about how... Oh, now I can't remember the exact line. I posted it on Facebook right after I read it in the video. But
Is it a Star Wars-themed online casino designed to lure kids into spending money? It's a trap?
It's a trap. He does use the joke, "it's a trap," which is kind of amazing.
Yeah, good on him.
But no, it was either him or somebody else who was speaking at it said, hey, we didn't let Joe Camel sell cigarettes to your kids. Yeah. We're not going to let Star Wars get them addicted to gambling.
Yeah, we shouldn't allow Star Wars to encourage our kids to gamble. We didn't allow Joe Camel to encourage our kids to smoke cigarettes.
Yep.
A little bit different.
It's a little different.
I also don't really... I mean, Star Wars-themed online casino designed to lure kids into spending money. A little bit of an exaggeration as well, but...
Oh, yeah, no, it's total politician hyperbole trying to get people riled up about something. And I am unsure if it's because he's misinformed and doesn't understand exactly how the situation works, or if it is because he wants to purposely mislead. But
I think in politics, those are the same thing.
Probably the same thing. But really, this is sort of the expected response from a politician who actually gets into this issue. And, I mean, EA... You goofed. You goofed so hard that now people are starting to take notice who aren't gamers.
In Hawaii.
In Hawaii. What a beautiful place.
The birthplace of Obama? He was born in Hawaii, right?
Yeah. No, he was born in Kenya. Excuse you.
Oh, sorry. Oh, let's see the birth certificates.
Yeah.
Fucking people. Yeah, no, this is... we've talked about this before. I think we're a little... different. We have different opinions on this specific thing. I would prefer if the government stays out of this particular type of legislature, because you know what, this looks a lot like, Lex, the ESRB, when the ESRB was formed. Like loot boxes and all that. Is it predatory? Is it dangerous to kids? Yeah, probably. Do I think that the government should step in on this? No, because I don't. The video, like as you said, I don't know if he understands this or if he's just a politician or what. The majority of of politicians do not understand the video game industry. They're old, and we just got to wait till they die and the people that actually understand this shit to come up. Then we can have this discussion again. But as of right now, I don't want the government anywhere near video games, even if it is against predatory bullshit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and in the U.S., I think that one of the big differences between now and the 90s is the amount of money the game industry can wield, which we are going to talk about later. So, and as we know, in America, lobbyists can influence politics in really big ways. So I think because loot boxes make so much money, you're going to see big publishers throwing their weight around in terms of lobbying if people at the federal level do try and regulate games. So I think it's a good bet that these, at least in the US, these loot boxes are not going to get regulated.
Probably in the end.
But as I think we reported on last time, because it was new news then, and there hasn't really been an update to it yet, so I wasn't going to talk about it at length. But in Belgium, they are looking to regulate it, to have the loot boxes qualify as a form of gambling, sort of, so that you need to, if your game's going to have that in that country, you need to pay for a special license, and it needs to be sort of more monitored by the government there.
Yeah, we talked about that at the end of that stretch when Battlefront 2 first crashed and burned, and we went through the whole ordeal.
So yeah, my assumption is that in other countries, specifically in Europe, we're probably going to see a lot of legislation pop up around this, but I doubt we'll see it in the US at all. I find that very unlikely.
Well, and if it does, it'll take a long time.
Oh yeah.
Just like any policy in the US.
Yep. But yeah, so that was from last week. But this week, a whole lot of great stuff happened.
Lex, I want to ask you one simple question. Would you like your Darth Vader in pink?
I would, actually. That sounds great.
Yeah, I don't see any problem with that at all.
No. CFO of EA, Blake Jorgensen.
Is it Jorgensen or is it Jorgensen?
Yeah, it might be Jorgensen. Was talking at the
Annual Arts, Technology, Media, and Telecom Conference.
Yes, that was it. On November 28th. And he was talking about how he was explaining why they decided to go the route of paid in-game benefits for Star Wars Battlefront 2. Sort of, it seemed like maybe he was doing this as a way to do damage control, but I'm not entirely sure. I don't really know why he said these things, because I feel like everyone would have been way better off if he had just kept his mouth shut.
Yes.
But he decided, and I guess I can read you some of the quotes here. Let's see. Listening to the consumer when you start playing the game 6 months from now, and even 6 years from now, it's important to us. Sure it is.
It's very important.
And I would say that if we're not making some mistakes along the way and learning from them, that's when you should worry about us. But our view is these are great opportunities for us to continue to tune the game, to adjust to these things.
I love this. We pulled off the MTX because the real issue the consumer had was they felt it was a pay-to-win mechanic. The reality is that there are different types of players in games. Some people have more time than money, and some have more money than time. You want to always balance those two. First of all, I've never heard microtransactions called MTX before, so it's nice to know that that's a little insider round the conference meeting lingo that happens.
I love this thing that publishers are talking about now, where they're just like, oh yeah, no, some people don't like microtransactions, but those were just the people who don't have as much money to spend. But there's a segment of the population that loves microtransactions and they want to spend that money.
Yeah, and moreover, it's like, yeah, well, some people have money, and some people only have as long as they have until they die, and we want to suck both of those out of them,
if possible.
If at all possible, we'd like to, get the most out of anything that you have.
So, what's the thing that everybody's going crazy about though is his excuse, because as to why these microtransactions were in-game benefits rather than cosmetic benefits. And he said, the one thing we're very focused on and we're extremely focused on is not violating the canon of Star Wars. It's an amazing brand that's been built over many, many years. So if you did a bunch of cosmetic things, you might start to violate the canon. Darth Vader in white probably doesn't make sense versus in black. Not to mention, you probably don't want Darth Vader in pink. No offense, Pink, but I don't think that's right in the canon. So for one thing, he immediately went to a very extreme example, which is a complete repaint of a character's costume that's always in black. So that's weird. But the other thing is that the internet was very quick to immediately call BS on that in a couple ways. Mm-hmm. The first way was a bunch of people looked back to Star Wars Battlefront 2015 and said, hey, Jorgensen, you have microtransactions in that game, and they're all cosmetic microtransactions.
Yeah.
So if you were worried about canon, why didn't you worry about it in the game that came out 2 years ago, but suddenly you're worried about it now?
Right. This is especially confusing because there's a quote here. He says, like, when asked why EA didn't then pursue the microtransaction model centered around the cosmetic items instead of the gameplay boost, Jorgensen said the company is working with LucasArts on a way to do cosmetics items, but added it's not easy, as it sounds when dealing with an established IP.
So that's the other thing. The other reason why he said this was a way to shift blame.
Yeah.
So he's saying everyone's mad at us because of this. And it's not our fault, it's Disney's fault. Disney didn't want us to mess with the IP and mess with canon. But again, you did this in the 2015 game. And, you didn't do crazy stuff in the 2015 game, like give us a pink Darth Vader, although that would have been great. But instead, what you did was you gave us different alien versions of, the Rebels. So you can be like a Twi'lek Rebel or a Rodian or whatever. And you gave us some variations on the costumes that were more minor than a complete repaint for a bunch of the different main characters.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so dumb, that he came out and said this, because there's so much evidence that what he's saying is bullshit.
Yeah.
And to top it off, there was even more evidence that what he was saying was bullshit, because somebody went...
I wanted to add, though, isn't LucasArts not a company anymore? I don't know why...
They are a company. It's Disney bought them. So LucasArts still exists as a company under the control of Disney.
They just don't make, adventure games anymore.
Yeah. I think they just oversee the films, I'm pretty sure. And they might do some other merchandising, too, I assume. But yeah, they oversee the films. Because they're the Lucasfilm logo still comes up at the beginning of the movies and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so players were quick to call out his BS, especially one of them who has the best Reddit username, which is uninspired zebra.
Yeah, we've all felt that way.
Oh, definitely. So this person has gone on the record before, not gone on the record, but he's posted on Reddit before having cracked I think it was the 2015 Battlefront, and also, I believe, Battlefront 2 in the past, looking into the different files. He's been data mining it, is the term. And he data mined the PC version of Battlefront 2 right after Jorgensen made these claims. So we got an article from November 30th from GameSpot entitled Hidden Star Wars Battlefront 2 Character Customization Menu Discovered in Possible Leak. So yeah, it turns out Battlefront 2 does have character customization, skins, all that crazy non-canon stuff. All that data is currently in the game, waiting to be activated by future either DLC or microtransaction updates.
Jesus Christ.
So they were planning to do cosmetic microtransactions from day one, shipped it with the game, or maybe it was with the most recent update, I'm not 100% sure, shipped it with that, and they just haven't activated it yet. So, again, Jorgensen, why did you even talk about this? All you did was just spout off a bunch of nonsense that wasn't true and made people more upset with EA.
Digging the hole ever deeper, ever deeper.
Jesus.
As if it couldn't get any deeper.
So this is like, and it's all the things it's the same kind of stuff we saw in 2015's Battlefront. So it's different alien versions of rebels and different skins for stormtroopers and clone troopers and stuff. So it's like, I remember one of them was there was like Coruscant, whatever, the big city
Coruscant?
planet. Yeah, that place. The guards specifically for that, so they have special like paint decals on their trooper armor, and different associations with like different legions of the stormtroopers and stuff like that. Like there's probably a 501st Legion in there somewhere, I'm sure.
Sure.
And yeah, it's the obvious cosmetic things. Also, I forgot to say this a few minutes ago before I even got to the leak story, but one of the other ways people were calling BS on Jorgensen is Star Wars Battlefront 2 shipped with multiple skins for Kylo Ren and Rey. Because they had her costume from the current movie and from the last movie, and they had Kylo Ren like with and without a helmet. Because you see it that way. So I'm like, yeah, obviously there can be multiple skins for these characters.
Yeah. Why
wouldn't
there be?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be crazy. It doesn't have to be pink Darth Vader, but it can be like Luke Skywalker in his outfit in New Hope versus his like Hoth outfit in Empire Strikes Back versus his all black, really Sithy looking outfit in Jedi.
The best one.
Yeah, it is the best one. It works really well with that green lightsaber. Yeah. It's good.
Like Han Solo and the Wookiee were coming with me, or whatever he says, like when he comes into Jabba's palace. Yeah. It's like, yeah!
Dude, he force chokes people in Jedi.
Hell yeah.
At the beginning.
He's fucking evil.
Yeah, he does.
That was before... Okay, little tangent. That is before, like, the whole idea of the Sith and shit came about. It was just like, Jedi's, like... Darth Vader in those original movies was never described as a Sith. He was described as a fallen Jedi. Mm-hmm. Like, he's just a bad Jedi. Like, that they fucking went overboard afterwards, and... Anyways, never mind.
Yeah, they
should have made him pink, is what I'm saying.
They should have made him pink. If only George Lucas had been forward-thinking enough to make Darth Vader pink. Mm-hmm. You know what I really want to see for cosmetic stuff in a Star Wars game? What's his name, Ralph McQuarrie, all the original concept art. If they just did reskins of all the characters based on his original concept art.
Hell yeah. Yeah, back when like Han Solo was supposed to be like a robot like car salesman or something.
Yeah. But no, I thought his character designs are super cool, and it's not that they necessarily made them worse for the movies. Some of them looked like his designs looked very weirdly angular, like the stormtroopers and Darth Vader's like armor and stuff looks like super like stylized and angular in his art.
Yeah.
So it's probably better that they toned that down a little bit for the live action stuff. But I was like, oh yeah, no, you could totally make those skins and people would love it. They made a line of action figures that's all the McQuarrie designs for all the Star Wars characters, and they look cool. It's a great look.
No, they're awesome. They're awesome. So my takeaway from the Jorgensen bit is that he's the CEO, and ultimately I don't think he knows what's going on in the nitty-gritty down on the base level.
No,
he's just saying things. He's just like probably a little drunk at that conference or something, you know, and he's just like, I don't know, like, and then he just like spits word salad for a couple minutes and ends up shitting and like fucking everyone else over. Mm-hmm. However, at the fucking this train wreck of Battlefront 2 and EA just never stops crashing. And I think that all that stuff aside, with our next story, we can see the actual outcome of all of this.
It was all fun and games for Jorgensen until the bottom fell out of the stock market.
There's a record scratching says, well, you may be wondering how I got myself here.
So, story from CNBC, because we're classy like that.
Yeah, you know it's real when it's on a fucking big boy adult fucking news channel.
Yes. Apparently, EA's Day of Reckoning is here after Star Wars game uproar. $3 billion in stock value wiped out for EA.
Wow.
Man.
Yep.
So, they're obviously still making a lot of money on this game, but all of this kerfuffle has just eroded trust in their stock to that point.
Yeah, specifically, EA's stock is down 8.5% month to date through Tuesday, compared to the S&P 500's 2% gain, wiping out the $3.1 billion of shareholder value. Its competitors Take-Two and Activision Blizzard's shares are up 5% and 0.7% respectively during the same period. Yep. This is that's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah, so if EA wasn't listening before, they're definitely listening now. And also,
yes,
this is super interesting because one of the things that we've been talking about in the past with this microtransaction stuff and loot boxes in general is I think we were pretty pessimistic about it in the sense that, like, okay, a bunch of gamers get very upset. People talk about it online. Maybe a legislator will do something. We don't know. Probably not in America. But what we do know is that people are still buying these microtransactions and they're making companies a whole buttload of money. So that gives the companies a good reason to not pay attention to any of the outrage because they're making enough money to not care. But it turns out that outrage was a big enough deal to make investors skittish.
Yeah.
And now those companies care. Or they're gonna. And it's interesting. It's cool that there does seem to be an avenue for voices to be heard in this way. But at the same time, it underscores this whole problem that I have with the stock market, which is that the stock market is dumb. And we talked about this with Nintendo back when Pokemon Go was coming out. And Nintendo stocks just like went through the roof because investors didn't realize that Pokemon Go was made by a different publicly traded company. So,
I remember that. Yeah.
So that company's stocks, there was a little, but they didn't actually go up very much because people just didn't realize that was the company that actually made Pokemon Go. So Nintendo got all this credit, even though it didn't actually make sense for them to get that much money out of it. So yeah, no, the stock market is run by people like that politician that we were talking about earlier with, or even Jorgensen, where they don't really understand what's going on. They just kind of think that they do, and they make rash decisions based on it.
Yeah.
And
I mean, that's the whole stock market. That's just not video games.
That's true.
That's perceptions of everything.
So yeah, the whole stock market is based off of how people feel and not how things actually are.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's why I have runs on banks and shit like that. I wonder, actually, just as an aside, when that shit happened, the stock market troubles were for Nintendo of America, I assume, right? If it was Wall Street trading,
it must. I
wonder, because you can't, unless you're a Japanese citizen, you can't trade on the Japanese stock market. So I wonder what happened during that time period in the Japanese stock market. Like if the Japanese market understood that it was actually Niantic and not Nintendo making the game.
They probably did. They probably knew what was going on.
Possibly. So this is crazy. I mean, it's a light at the end of the tunnel. It actually shows that all of this ends up being a positive thing, with EA acknowledging that they're fucking, acknowledging in that they took down the microtransactions and basically said, yeah, we heard you. And now them losing the money. It's a sign that, voting with your wallet really does work. That there is something to be said for bitching about shitty practices until they change them, because they'll listen to this. They might not listen to the fucking Reddit or something like that, but they'll listen to $3 billion in stock value taken away from them. That will make them listen, and hopefully, I mean, it's the breaking point, and everyone else kind of sees the limit that they can go with MTX, which I guess is what people call it now.
It's just a good. It incentivizes big companies to not piss off their customers.
Yeah.
Which is nice, because we want them to be incentivized to not do that.
And as a last little bit, somewhere in here, I can't remember exactly what it was, but they're basically saying that the industry has to come together to make a standard kind of model for microtransactions. And that's kind of my other little aside point to, I don't want the government in there. I think that in like a good capitalist society like we are, with a free market, I think that these things can shake themselves out. And I think this is part of it. I think that the rest of the industry and EA themselves look at this and then they're like, okay, we got to back up and actually look at what is kind of the standard for microtransactions, what's going to work, and what people are going to put up with. That's how I think this works, not with getting government involvement. Mm-hmm. It's shit like this.
Yeah, and all they need to do is look at I think all they need to do is look at what Blizzard is doing.
Yeah.
And just be like, let's just copy that model and it'll be fine. Because that's a company that does a whole lot of microtransactions and nobody complains about it.
Yeah. You know, it was funny. We were talking a couple of weeks ago. We were talking about Blizzard and how they basically invented like everything that everyone does now. And I was thinking about the one thing that no one went further with, which was the one time that their monetization failed them, which was the real money auction house in Diablo. And I was like, that was a funny time. They tried that one thing and they're like, nope, and then they took it away and no one else tried it. But that was just a funny thing. So yeah, EA didn't just get a slap on the wrist, it got a punch in the face. Yep. And hopefully for the best. Hopefully they learned their lesson.
So, moving away from EA and Battlefront, finally.
Yes. Finally.
We're done with it for this week.
Let me say it again. Hopefully we don't have to talk about Star Wars Battlefront anymore. And yeah, give it a week.
Yep.
That ends up it spits out razor blades out of the fucking machine at your children when it's playing or something.
Multiple children die playing Star Wars Battlefront 2 from razor blade induced injuries.
Yeah, the lawsuit sought in Russia.
Who made this razor blade DLC? Why did they put it in?
Jorgensen. Yeah, well, some of our players really like razor blades to be spat out at them, and some of them have more time than money.
We're trying to think about people who care about shaving on a regular basis.
Some people like safety razors. Some people like, buzzers. And, we're really trying to find the balance there.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
In our razor blade transaction system. Anyways, Demons' Souls' unfortunately, the servers are shutting down for good. February 28th, the online servers, that is.
Oh, no.
From Rob Lefebvre. I don't know. From Engadget. And basically, it talks about the first, you could kind of call it Dark Souls 1, and Dark Souls 1 you could kind of call Dark Souls 2, and Dark Souls, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So base is the first Souls-ish game that From Software ever put out. And it was brutally difficult and really fun, and it introduced one thing that kind of followed along in the Souls games, which was this kind of in-game messaging system. You'd kind of leave notes, pre-prescribed notes on the ground in front of places that other people could see. You could also see like the ghosts of people who had died when you're kind of around in the area where they died or whatever. And of course, you could kind of summon people to your into your game and have them fight with you. And unfortunately, that is all going away. Excuse me. And in a note written by the publishers, they said the game will remain fully playable, but online functionality such as in-game messaging, player death locations, and world tendency features will stop working. And that was Atlas, as they wrote in a longer, heartfelt blog post. It's too bad. So this is more of a public service announcement. If you're a hardcore Demons' Souls' player, you have until February 28th to actually experience the game as it was intended. And then it's all over.
Too bad.
Too bad. And it's another thing to show you that with online games nowadays, everything has a lifespan. It's not like, an NES where you can slap in that cartridge and play it as long as the machinery works, Sometimes shit just collapses.
Gotta have those servers. If you don't have if no one's paying for those servers, that stuff doesn't work. That's that is too bad, and actually a little surprising to me because I figured Souls games have a pretty solid following. They've never been giant, but they've gotten quite a bit of notoriety and fame. So I kind of assumed that it would just sort of keep going for a longer time, but apparently not.
Yeah, and it's on the PS3 only. And I actually mentioned this to our good friend Benjamin earlier, and who did play Demon Souls a lot, and he said that they kind of threatened to shut him down like a couple years ago. Then a bunch of people surged back into the game, and so it kept it alive for a little bit longer. But I guess it's done. It's all done.
It's all done.
And here's another aside. No one reads their end user license agreements when they buy games. They just click I agree and go. In most online games, there is a clause in there that says you do not own this software. You are leasing it from us.
Yep.
And we have the right to take it away from you whenever you want. So anything any kind of online persistent, like with this, the single player game works fine, but like like PUBG or something like that, when you buy that game, you're releasing that game from them. If they shut off that game, you don't have any right to it. So that's what you're agreeing to when you buy your game and don't read your things.
Mm-hmm. Read your things.
Read your things, damn it. Go to school.
Go to school. Learn about numbers. We're going to talk about some numbers now. So I hope you passed trigonometry.
I didn't.
Oh, no. Because we're going to talk about an article from VentureBeat from November 28th, talking about the game industry and how fast it is growing. It's growing faster than expected. Up 10.7% to a $116 billion industry in 2017.
Woohoo.
Wowie zowie. This is, yeah, wow, okay. So it was projected to grow, obviously, but it grew a lot more than people thought. Yeah, man. There's so much. There's a bunch of numbers in here that bore me, but one of the things I think is interesting is they break down the percentages of the market, and it's get ready to get depressed, because where is all this money coming from? It's coming from mobile gaming.
Oh no, who could have guessed?
Yeah, it's a big old chunk. So mobile games account for 43% of the global market. And, yeah.
But Ben, there are a couple good mobile games. I'm sorry, your name's not Ben, your name's Lex.
Yeah.
I'm playing PUBG too much today.
But, yeah, there were a couple. Hearthstone's okay.
You got your Hearthstone, you got your Animal Crossing, which I downloaded and played a bit of.
Oh, is that good?
No. Oh. I mean, it's probably great, but I don't give a shit about. I played it for about an hour to an hour and a half, and I was like, "Oh, I just pick like fruit and get bells. I'm done. I don't want to do this."
Yep.
I didn't care. But if you're into Animal Crossing, then hell yeah, it's amazing.
Cool. So
probably gonna make a lot of that $50 billion is coming from that.
Let's see here. The rest of the market was 29% was console gamers. And 28% were PC gamers, which is actually really surprising to me. I'm genuinely surprised that PC and console are basically neck and neck.
Well, this is global, so that's
China?
why I think. Yeah. Well, like I don't know exactly what the kind of breakdown in the United States alone is, but I definitely know in Europe, China. Europe and China, essentially, PC games have always been a larger cut of the pie than the United States.
Yeah, because consoles weren't allowed in China for the longest time, so
right.
It makes sense.
And consoles were like nearly impossible to get in fucking in communist Europe and parts of like Germany and shit like that.
Yep.
And they're also like super expensive, so a lot of people started getting like Amiga computers and shit like that back in the day.
Ooh. So,
but. Yeah, it's actually closer than I thought. I thought that PC was going to be quite a bit ahead of consoles.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. This is just unfortunate because we know that the driving influence behind mobile gaming and the way that they make revenue is obviously microtransactions.
Generally speaking, yes.
So that means a gigantic percentage of all of the money that's made in gaming is microtransactions.
I'm sorry, Lex, MTX.
Oh, yes, MTX. I should use the industry term, and I apologize. But, yeah, this is a real unfortunate time for people who care about the direction that the industry is headed. We're going to see... Well... I mean,
a rising tide raises all boats. I mean, it's good that it's the fastest growing media industry in history. Like that's a good thing.
That is good. Sure. Actually, no. You know what? I don't care about that. I don't care about that at all. I've always thought video games are a perfectly reasonable size. In fact, I think they're too bloated now with the stuff that happens with AAA titles. In certain ways, I long for the late 90s and the early 2000s when a big deal game was a lot more reasonable. And not this bloated mess that like
you need to be like you're a 50s to 75-year-old man in a 29-year-old's body.
Yes. But no, I think of the fact that now games are a AAA title will have bleeding edge graphics and it'll have all these extra features and stuff, and I think back and I'm like, I don't care. That's never the thing that allured me to games, stuff like that. It was always that like, oh, do you just have a solid game with a reasonable amount of content? Cool. That's all I'm really looking for. So I think that we see all this growth in the industry. Most of it's for microtransactions, which means companies are going to look at this and say, okay, well, we know what we should do if we want to make money in the future.
Yeah. But they're also going to look at EA and be like, we know where the limit is.
$3 billion.
Yeah.
Oof. Man. Okay. Moving to our next story.
Moving to some happy.
Do you like cereal?
Do you like cereal? What's the global game cereal market looking like, Lex? Is Nintendo making a large portion of their money from Kellogg's products? All right.
Well, I think they used to.
Probably.
Because we know that back in the late 80s, early 90s, Nintendo did all of this brand merchandising, like tons of it.
They did cereal. Do you remember I wasn't alive, but I know the facts of the it was called the Nintendo Cereal System, and they had the Mario and Zelda equivalencies. Have you seen those before?
No, I have not seen those.
Oh, hold the phone. Well, we'll get to that after I read the thing. So this is directly from Nintendo, and I just love this because the way they write this shit is funny to me. So, Super Mario cereal from Kellogg's makes breakfast a playful experience. With Super Mario cereal, Nintendo and Kellogg's have teamed up to take fans on a breakfast odyssey that will continue long after the cereal box is empty. In addition to the collectible Super Mario Odyssey box art, each Super Mario cereal box functions as an amiibo accessory, making breakfast a more playful experience. I almost said painful.
Also true.
They go on in this way, basically to say that it's like they're giving you Super Mario cereal. I like the last one. It says, "We are thrilled to pack so much fun into one box of cereal," said Brian Schwan, Senior Director of Morning Foods Marketing. "The packaging adds value and excitement for fans, with marshmallow shapes in the cereal inspired by Super Mario power-ups to tie into the theme together." It's Lucky Charms, but Mario. Yep. That's all it is. You got your little red mushrooms. You got your little 1-up mushrooms. You got your little question blocks as the marshmallows, and I think the stars are just like the rice puff kind of cereal things.
Yep.
And yeah, so the interesting thing is that apparently there's an amiibo code thing on like every box.
So that means you can use your box as an amiibo.
Whoa! Or you can just take your Switch to the grocery store and just fucking put it up to the box.
Because the Switch is a portable console.
Yeah, I wonder if they had to have thought of that. They had to have there must be some way around that. Like they can't. Wouldn't that kind of destroy everything? Like
yeah, it definitely would.
Yeah.
The Switch needs to connect to the internet, right? I assume to certify the amiibo thing, maybe?
I don't know. You're the one that owns one.
I mean, I haven't tried to certify an amiibo with it because I haven't bought any of those amiibi, because why would I waste my money on that?
Amiibi.
Yes.
I like that.
And it can't, like, it doesn't work like a phone. You can't, like a smartphone, it needs to find a wireless signal. And I don't assume that most grocery stores have Wi-Fi, although I'm sure some of them do.
I mean, they probably have like locked Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
So I don't know how. So if it's behind that barrier, that could fix it. And I kind of assume that it is. But you could. How could you do it? You could turn your phone into a Wi-Fi hotspot with very little difficulty. So you could get past that kind of lock that way. So there must be something else that they're doing, but I don't know what. Yeah, because otherwise,
a piece of cardboard's not much security.
No.
Really.
Like, I don't know how it would be able to certify that you made the purchase of the cereal.
Right.
You know, maybe... Okay, so the codes that are scanned at the supermarket when you check out your food...
Yeah.
It might be that... I don't know if this is even possible to do, but maybe Nintendo did a thing where they were like, oh, okay, as soon as the barcode of this thing is scanned, we know someone's purchased it. So that then when you go to get the amiibo thing, it's like, oh, this has been purchased. It's not just still sitting on a shelf. So we'll let you have the amiibo.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't know how they would connect to that. But theoretically, they could. Yeah. Probably.
They could. But what about your mom and pop shops that don't use a barcode scanner?
Are there even... Is that even a thing?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Dude, it exists still in the world. There's people that still just they just know the price of things and they ring it up on a fucking little piece of paper and you pay them in cash.
It's bizarre.
It's amazingly. Oof. So, I sent you in the Discord chat the Nintendo cereal system. You can take a look at that. Okay. So the Ralston cereals came out with the Nintendo cereal system in 1986 and discontinued it in 1989. I don't know if that's something you can bring up on your thing.
It's up.
Cool.
It's up there.
Nice. Look at that fucking box art. Look at that. You got Super Mario Bros. And Zelda. And I think they were separated. Yeah, so the Mario side had marshmallow rather. Goombas, Koopas, and Bowsers. The other side of the box, known as Zelda's Adventure Series, consisted of berry-flavored characters and items. Link's Hearts.
I like how the separation is the Mario side is fruity, but the Zelda side is berry. And I'm like, I hate to break it to you, Ralston, but berries are a kind of fruit.
Get it together, Ralston cereals. Hold on, I gotta go down the rabbit hole for a second. What the fuck is Ralston cereals?
I don't even...
The Ralston Purina Company.
Nope, we're not going into that.
St. Louis, Missouri-based animal feed and pet store. Wow. Apparently they used to sell Nintendo cereals. Now they sell dog food. So
Nintendo used to do all of this, anyway. all this merchandising, which is something that we remember from like the 80s and the early 90s. And it's just interesting that now Nintendo is branching into that again.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. I love it. Because no one else does this wacky shit. Like, you're never going to see a Sony property or an Xbox property cereal. Like, what? No, you're never going to see that. Like, it's crazy.
Gears of War cereal. No, but actually, you're right. But it sort of happens with quote-unquote gamer food.
Sure.
Which is like, the Doritos, the Mountain Dew... The Bagel Bites, or not, actually, I don't know if Bagel Bites does it, because Bagel Bites are too pure and amazing. But Pizza Pockets, certainly.
Gamer fuel.
Yes, that stuff. So, although we don't see officially branded stuff necessarily, it's sort of like that. It would be really interesting if some company like EA decided to release their own version of like a pizza pocket that was, Star Wars, the Battlefront themed pizza pockets.
Right.
If you buy it, you get what are they called? The crystals that you can use to to unlock more packs.
To get a pink Darth Vader. Sorry, you can't get that.
You can you can only get the pink Darth Vader if you buy their breast cancer awareness pizza pockets at the supermarket.
Sure, at least it's for a good cause.
That's how that unlock works.
Yeah, because this is crazy though, and I think this shows like the heritage of Nintendo as like a toy company. Like they can do this crazy shit. Like because like you said, when you see like there was a one recently on. It was Destiny did a deal with Pop-Tarts that it was like Pop-Tarts get extra XP in Destiny if you buy Pop-Tarts, or something like that. Or like they'll do branded deals with already existing food items. But this isn't like Lucky Charms styled as Super Mario. This is the fucking Super Mario cereal itself.
Yes.
This is its own thing.
Yep.
It's pretty much fucking it is Lucky Charms, but nonetheless, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm happy Nintendo's doing well because they're the only people that can pull this shit off.
Mm-hmm. Who's gonna buy some Super Mario cereal? This guy.
Yeah, I'll fucking buy some Super Mario cereal.
Wait, is this out yet? This isn't out yet, is it?
They put
December
a date.
11th. As early as December 11th. This is too bad, because I'm going grocery shopping this weekend. And I was like, ooh, I should buy this, but no, it's not out yet. Maybe, but I'll have it before Christmas. Thank goodness.
You will. And maybe the Super Mario... Oh, no, the Nintendo Land place will open up in Universal. Eventually I can go there and check that shit out.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah. So, moving on to PUBG.
Dun, dun, dun. Yeah. PUBG, I've been playing PUBG all day. It's a game, and it's fun, and it's crazy. But if you couldn't get enough on your PC and eventually Xbox One, there are not one, but count them, 2 PUBG mobile games are coming. And if you're living in the United States, you probably won't get to play either.
Oh.
This is from Polygon, from Allegra Frank, and from today. And there are now 2 games based on the PC hit PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds in the works for smartphones, as Tencent revealed early Friday morning. While one should look familiar to the current PUBG players, the other looks like a major deviation from the series formula. The first mobile PUBG game, revealed is Army Attack, in production by Teamy Studios. It will include all-out naval warfare, which, if you play the game, you don't... Well, I mean, there's boats, but not like, battleships.
Yeah, no, I think PUBG, I don't think naval warfare.
Right. You can control ships and gun each other down at sea. There are also helicopters players can fight from, also not in the game. There are no helicopters. And not just parachute out of. I don't think you can parachute out of helicopters. There's just a plane. These are both marked changes from the traditional Battle Royale setup, with a teaser suggesting the overall arcade-style gameplay. So basically, yeah, PUBG's coming to some mobile games. Most importantly, they have 2 different developers for starters, and what was it? There's no Western release date yet planned, so we'll let Chinese audience take these for a test drive when they launch at another state. Apparently, PUBG's huge in China, or big enough that they think that they can foist 2 PUBG mobile games on people as PUBG continues its global domination. It's the weirdest game to get this big. It blows my mind sometimes.
Well, hey, you know what? They're gonna make a whole lot of money in China with these mobile games.
Oh yeah, they're already making a shit ton of money. And it was funny. I was actually I was in the shower. I was thinking about this earlier. I was trying to think about how many games that were based on mods basically created entire genres by themselves and got really huge. And there's only 2 I can think of. One is PUBG, and the other is or I should say, the two genres that came out of mods instead of like being influenced tertiary by another game is Battle Royale and MOBAs. And they're both pretty recent. And I think that's interesting that like this isn't just like an advancement. It's people literally modding an existing game to make a new game mode, and that game mode created its own genre and became super popular. And those are like the only 2 I can really think of. There must be more out there, but I don't know. That was just a random thought I had, and I think it's kind of interesting. It's kind
weird.
Of a new world out there.
It's weird what people glom onto and become huge hits. I don't pretend to understand it. I just report on it. Let's talk about PUBG's big competition, Fortnite.
I wouldn't call it big.
No, not really. No, actually, they're when they introduced their PUBG Battle Royale mode, they got like horrendous amounts of people playing it, like comparable to PUBG. Because that's just the game type people want to play. So Fortnite has been having some trouble lately. They are embroiled now in a lawsuit. Basically, companies don't want people hacking or cheating in their games, because why would they? Especially when it's a multiplayer online experience. So
with MTX.
Yes, with MTX. So a lot of people try to hack them. We've certainly reported in the past of many occasions of people subscribing to bot services, which give you aim assist and other things that allow you to do better in these games. They exist for Overwatch, CSGO, like any kind of shooter. And the companies try and crack down on them because obviously it's not fair. So the Fortnite developer, which is what, Epic Games? Yeah, Epic Games.
Yeah, Epic.
Decided that they weren't going to stand for it and they were going to be banning people. And there was one person in particular named Caleb Rogers who was not only modding the game or like he was paying for aim assist bot stuff, but he was also making YouTube videos about how people could go out and get these mods and aim assist things.
Oh, Caleb.
And what happened was Epic Games flagged his YouTube video saying like, hey, that's not cool, take that down. And apparently when those flags happen on YouTube videos, there's two options that the person who posted the YouTube video has. And one of them is to take it down and be done with it. And the other one is to try to keep it up and open themselves up to a lawsuit. And Caleb decided to keep it up and open himself up to a lawsuit. So Epic Games said, okay, we're suing you. And then news came out that Caleb Rogers is a 14-year-old boy.
Yeah. May I say that Caleb Rogers is the most 14-year-old boy sounding name ever.
I know, just like Caleb, obviously you're a young teen. Obviously. Yeah. There's no grown-up people with that name.
No, there is not.
So
my name's Caleb Rogers. I make PUBG videos. Yeah, sorry.
So this is a bit of a problem because now Epic Games is suing a minor. And Caleb's mother was not happy about this.
Yeah.
So Caleb's mother, whose name is somewhere in here, and I don't remember where, but she is making
Mrs. Rogers.
Mrs. Rogers' neighborhood is making some pretty harsh statements against Epic Games, such as Epic Games has released the defendant's name publicly, therefore allowing news articles and different online publications to attain his name and in turn release additional information. Referencing State of Delaware House Bill number 64, it is illegal to release underage individuals' personal information by any agencies. So
we're breaking the law right here, Lex.
Yeah, so here's the thing. She said a bunch of stuff, and this article actually doesn't get into some of the crazier stuff that she said. Like some of the things she said was like, you can't blame Caleb for it because he bought the cheat from somewhere. You should be going after the people who make the bots. And I'm like, okay, for one thing, they are. For another thing, that's the same argument as saying, I mean, you should go after the gun store, not the person who shot the gun.
Right.
And
hacks don't kill people. Boys with hacks kill people.
Yes. And so a lot of that stuff is ridiculous. But the citation of law where it's like, oh, this person's a minor and you released their name and that's illegal because they're a minor under this state law. I was like, Epic Games might be in some trouble now. Mm-hmm. Not only the fact that it's a PR disaster for them. Nobody wants to be seen as the company going after a 12-year-old kid.
Sure.
But now Epic Games are kind of in a bind because they were just like, oh, but we initiated the lawsuit before we knew, and we can't, like, pull out of it.
Right.
So...
They face litigation. Yeah. Video games in 2017, Lex. This is good shit. This is funny. I don't know. I'd like to watch maybe what's that guy's name? The copyright lawyer, video game copyright lawyer guy.
Oh, I know who you're talking about, but I don't remember his name.
Yeah, he makes videos about like video game copyright law and shit. I wonder if he has a take on this.
Wonder how that Alex Bauer suit is going.
Jeez Christ. I also like to, at the very end, I also think it's funny that they say, meanwhile, Epic potentially faces litigation from PUBG Corp over similarities between PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds and Fortnite's Battle Royale mode. So, yeah, not only is Fortnite... I mean, Fortnite, it's so weird. It's a game that we've been hearing about for so long. The game itself's, like, not even out yet. They just have this Battle Royale mode. And it's just, like, they're just setting this thing out to die. Like, they shouldn't have never copied this PUBG thing. I think it was a bad idea. In the
Oh
long
no,
run.
I think this is a great idea for them. They're making so much money off of this.
Yeah, but the thing is that no one there's a whole. This is not the game. Like the game is a different game that's not out yet, and no one's gonna play it because
but they don't have to because they already made their money. That's the whole thing, right? Like they were able to beat PUBG to consoles, so they got to corner that market. It's one of the things that like when Overwatch came out, there was a lot of what was that game that Gearbox put out? Battleborn. Yeah.
Battleborn.
And that was sad because they were obviously ripping off of Overwatch, but no one cared about their game, so no one played it. And like I guess Paladins is also kind of in a similar boat, although I think Paladins gets a decent number of concurrent players. But Epic Games was smart enough to be like, hey, maybe we can twist our existing game to be like this popular game. And
our game that everyone's forgetting about, that we've been working on for like 5 years.
Yes, maybe we could twist it to be like this popular game, and maybe that will bring in people. And then it did. So they made it. They rolled the dice and they made the gamble in a similar way to how Battleborn did, except it paid off for them, and now they're making tons of money. So I mean, good on them. But shame on them for just ripping off someone else's idea. But good on them for making it work.
Also, good on them for making the newest Unreal Engine free.
Yeah.
See, I mean, that's the thing is that they're never going to run out of money because they own the Unreal Engine.
Yeah.
So they're fine forever.
Now, let's talk about games.
Games!
As opposed to the rest of the show. Let's talk about games that just came out.
This is our weekly Star Wars Battlefront and like lawsuit related podcast.
Child lawsuit
podcasts, and then we sprinkle in little games at the end.
Yeah. So, games that just came out. Lots of stuff came out last week on the Switch, as is pretty much every week for the Switch. But we had Resident Evil Revelations 2 come out. Let's see, we also had
Academia.
Yeah, for the PS4. Siberia 2 for the Nintendo Switch.
That shit's cool. I think it's cool that those adventure games are still alive on the Switch. It's pretty neat.
There's a game on the Switch. Oh, what is it called? I don't remember, but it's a 2D pixel art game where you play characters that are basically like Scully and Mulder, and you're investigating this random town.
Oh, Thimbleweed Park.
Yes, Thimbleweed Park.
That's the same guy that did Maniac Mansion and Monkey Island games. I can't remember his name.
Well, it's not Tim Schafer that's making that.
It's the other guy.
The other one.
I'll look it up.
The one who went on to be less famous.
Yeah.
Then today we have 7, The Days Long Gone. I don't know what that is. For the Windows.
Ron Gilbert, by the way.
And Xenoblade Chronicles 2 for the Nintendo Switch. So that's a big title for them, so I'm curious to see what people think about that and how well it does.
Generally, pretty good. Some
of the trailers for that game were laughably bad.
Oh, they're pretty bad. Jason Schreier gave it a really bad review on Kotaku, and he got a lot of hate for it because I guess people don't think that critics are supposed to be critical of games.
No.
But I think its Metacritic is actually doing really well. But there are some pretty bad ones out there too.
That's the thing. People don't really want critics to be critical. They just want to reaffirm their beliefs.
Yeah, it's confirmation bias.
Yep. Okay, so on the 5th, we have Dead Rising 4, Frank's Big Package.
Yeah.
Who cares about the Dead Rising series? No one.
I don't know.
That series has been... I have no idea how that even made it to a 4th installment.
I guess people still like that shit because still make shit.
Yeah. What else do we have?
We have Tokyo Xanadu EX Plus.
Oh. Yup. Oh, we have Earth Defense Force 5 for PS4. Yeah. That's pretty sweet.
Which doesn't even have a Wikipedia article. No,
which is a crime. Spellforce 3. I feel like I know what that game is, but I don't. Whatever. And yeah, not much. There isn't much. We're gonna see some more stuff later, but right now there isn't much coming out because we're past that big holiday game release window, so that people can.
We're past the Black Friday cutoff essentially. which is when you want to have your game before Black Friday so that you can sell big in the holiday.
Yep. Now, and that's just about it, and we're actually going to end on time today.
Wow.
Crazy.
Who knew? I can go and play more PUBG now.
Excellent.
On my mobile phone in China.
Yeah! So, this has been Don't Copy That Floppy, a weekly video game news podcast broadcasting live Fridays, 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on twitch.tv/DCTF podcast. We're on all sorts of places we can be found at, such as YouTube and Twitter and Facebook and Twitch and, I don't know, all sorts of places. The big places to keep an eye out at are iTunes, where you can subscribe to the show, and you can also give us a rating and review, and also chipbit.net, who are kind enough to host us, and you can check out a show archive there, and generally just check out the Chipbit channel. It's streaming chiptune music 24/7. It's good stuff. So, and if you want to support the show, and if you have all sorts of money that you just don't know what to do with, you can support us on Patreon by searching Don't Copy That Floppy on Patreon, and giving us money every month. You get access to bonus content if you do that. And
those are our MTX, really.
Yes.
Those were. We at Don't Copy That Floppy realize that some people have more time than money, and some people, have a low bullshit barometer.
Oh no. Don't talk about our paying patrons that way. Anyway, yeah, thanks for listening. And until next time, Chris, what do people have to do?
We would like you to not copy that floppy, please.